Hello children, welcome to the physics class. Now in this presentation we will be seeing about the applications of Gauss law. We have four applications and then what is electrostatic shielding. The first one is electric field due to an infinitely long charged wire. Now let us consider an infinitely long straight wire having uniform linear charge density lambda. Let us consider a point P which is at a distance of r from the center of the wire, and you are going to consider two elements A1 and A2 on the wire which are at equal distances from the point P. Now the resultant electric field due to these two charge elements points radially away from the charged wire, and the magnitude of the electric field is same at all points on the circle of radius r. Now in order to find out the value of the electric field, we will have to choose a Gaussian surface, an imaginary Gaussian surface. In this case it is going to be cylindrical in nature of radius r and length l. So the total electric flux that is enclosed in the closed surface is given as psi E is equal to integral of E vector dot dA vector. Now this involves three portions, that is the curved surface of the cylinder, the top and the bottom surfaces of the cylinder. Now we'll see what happens to the integration. Now first case, if you see the curved surface, E vector is parallel to A vector and E vector dot dA vector will be equal to EdA. Whereas the top and the bottom surfaces, E vector is perpendicular to A vector and E vector dot dA vector will be equal to 0. Now on substituting all these values and applying Gauss law, we get psi E is equal to integral of curved surface EdA, which is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Now we'll have to find out what is the total charge that is enclosed in the surface. Q enclosed will be equal to lambda into L, where lambda is the linear charge density into L, the length of the cylindrical Gaussian surface. Therefore, on substituting, you get your value as E integral of dA curved surface is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. Now, to find out the value of the integral of dA, it is nothing but the curved surface area. Now, what is the value of the total curved surface area of a cylinder? You know the total curved surface area of a cylinder will be equal to 2 pi RL. On substituting, you get your value as E into 2 pi RL is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. L and L gets cancelled, so you get your value of E is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by R. Vectorially, it is represented as E vector is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by R cap. The next one, with the next discussion which goes, now if lambda is greater than 0, E vector points perpendicularly outward from the wire, and if lambda is less than 0, then E vector points perpendicularly inward, that is towards positive R and minus R. Next you have the electric field due to a charged infinite plane sheet. Now let us consider an infinite plane sheet of charge. Now in this case, the Gaussian surface here, it is also going to be cylindrical in shape and it is going to pierce inside the plane sheet of charge, and you are going to consider 2 points P and P dash which are at equidistance from the center, each of distance r. So the total distance will be considered as 2r and the area of cross section will be taken as A. Okay. Now in the first case it was linear charge density, here it will be surface charge density sigma. Okay. Now on applying Gauss law, you know Gauss law, psi is equal to integral of EdA, that is the flux linked with the closed circuit is equal to integral of EdA. Gauss law is the flux enclosed will be equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge that is enclosed in the surface. Now again here you have the three surfaces, the curved surface and the integral at point P and integral at point P dash. Now we'll see what happens over here. The electric field is perpendicular to the area element at all points on the curved surface and is parallel to the surface areas at P and P dash. So since it is perpendicular, that will get cancelled. So your flux will be equal to integral of EdA at P and integral of EdA at P dash. Now total flux linked E flux E will be equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Now we'll have to find out the value of Q enclosed. In the last previous case it was lambda into L, where lambda is the linear charge density. Here it will be sigma into L, sigma into A, where sigma is the surface charge density into A, the area of cross section. On substituting, 2E integral of dA is equal to sigma A by epsilon naught. So integral of dA is nothing but A, the total area enclosed. Therefore, E will be equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. I hope how you know how you got the 2E, because integral of EDA plus integral of EDA at P and P dash they're going to be equidistant. So I just took it as 2E integral of dA, which is equal to sigma A by epsilon naught. The next one is electric field due to two parallel charged infinite sheets. The first case we saw only one infinite sheet. The second case we're going to see two infinite plane sheets which are going to be kept parallel. And they're considering 3 points over here. P1, which is well inside the two parallel sheets. P2 and P3 are outside the parallel sheets. If you see P2 and P3, the electric field due to the positive and negative charge are equal but acting in the opposite direction, so they get cancelled each other. Whereas at point P1, they are going to act in the same direction. Now you know for one plane sheet, which we saw in the previous derivation, so E will be equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. For 2, it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, which is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. I hope you know how you got it. Sigma by epsilon naught is taken outside. Half plus half is 1. Therefore, you get it as sigma by epsilon naught. So, the total electric field due to two parallel charge infinite sheets will be equal to sigma by epsilon naught, and E is inside. The next one is electric field due to a uniformly charged spherical shell. Now, in this we have three cases. One which is outside the spherical shell, the other one is on the shell, and the third one is inside the spherical shell. Now if you see the diagram, you have your charge which is having a radius of r. It is going to be spherical in shape, and the Gaussian surface is also going to be spherical in shape. For points outside the sphere, a large spherical Gaussian surface is drawn concentric with the sphere. Therefore, you are going to apply Gauss law, that is integral of dA is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Now the Gaussian surface is integral of dA Gaussian surface. So integral of dA will naturally, you know, this the area of the sphere, which is equal to 4 pi r squared. Therefore, you get your value of integral of dA is equal to 4 pi r squared. Substitute that, you get E into 4 pi r squared is equal to Q by epsilon naught, which is nothing but, or E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r squared. Vectorially, E vector is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r squared r. Now, the next one is if it is going to lie on the surface of the sphere. The same equation, instead of small r, you write it as capital R. So, E vector is equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught capital R squared r cap. And the third case, at a point inside the spherical shell, that is what will happen to the value of E. That is integral of EDA is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Here E into 4 pi r squared is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Now the net charge enclosed inside the surface will be equal to 0. That is Q will be equal to 0. So E will also be equal to 0. So the electric field due to a uniformly charged spherical shell is 0 at all points inside the shell. And it is a graph is plotted between electric field and radial distance, and for various cases we have discussed. The next is a summation of what we have seen earlier. That is the electrostatics of conductors at electrostatic equilibrium. The first point is the electric field is 0 everywhere inside the conductor. This is true regardless of whether the conductor is solid or hollow. Second point, there is no net charge inside the conductor. The charges must reside only on the surface of the conductor. The third point, the electric field outside the conductor is perpendicular to the surface of the conductor and has a magnitude of sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma is the surface charge density at the point. And the last point, the electrostatic potential has the same value on the surface and inside the conductor. Next, a question arises, Why is it safer to sit inside the car or bus rather under a tree during lightning or thunder? When there is a lightning and thunder, we are not supposed to stand under a tree. We'll have to sit inside the house, or if you're being outside, inside a car or a bus, because as we saw earlier, the electric field inside a closed surface is going to be zero. Therefore, it is safe to sit under. I hope you know lightning and thunder are electrically charged particles. So the electric field, since the electric field is going to be zero, it acts as an electrostatic shielding. This process or this principle is used in your Faraday cage also. The points to be noted are: the metal body of the car or bus provides electrostatic shielding. Electric field inside the car or bus is zero. The charges flow through the body of the conductor to the ground with no effect on the person inside the bus. So these 3 points are to be noted, and it is an important question. Okay, please children go through the derivations again and again, write it and see. Thank you.